Okay. All right.
Yep, seeing a bunch.
Awesome. We got a lot of, you guys are going to get a ton out of this. You're going to be great. How many are up to 5 years? 7 months, 4 months. All right. We see Richard, Claire.
23 years young. I like that one. I'm 23 years young.
I think I'm almost 23 years in the business, which
that's
showing my age.
That's what I mean by that. That's what I mean by that.
Yeah. 38, Charlie, there's no way.
30, Deborah
38.
Hayes.
Can anybody beat 38 years? By the way, I want to see anybody on this call, 184 of you. Anybody beat Charlie's 38 years in the business?
Not seeing
Not
it
yet, Charlie. Charlie, I think you win this one.
I haven't been alive 38 years.
Oh, Catherine. I wish that was the case. Yeah.
I think it's time for me to go to bed. Bye.
No, you're just getting started, Charlie. Thank you for coming on with us. And you win. We'll make sure we give you an extra high five when you see next time. All right. So now that we see kind of who's in the room here, we have the full gamut. I think we have a lot of new agents, and then we have a ton of agents that have been here for 5 years, 6 years, and beyond, up to 37 or 38 years. So now that we know a few of you have experienced a shift and a few of you haven't, those that have, what is a shift to you? And please come off mute and answer this, where this is interactive, as Brooke has said a couple of times. What is shift? And there's no wrong answer here. We want to know what you believe a shift is to you.
Go ahead, Carmen.
I believe a shift is when the prices go up or down of the houses. And it affects spending power, whether or not people are buying as much or not.
Absolutely. Anyone else?
Oh, shift is just a change in the market, up or down, left or right, just a change.
Also,
yes, I don't know who that
buyers
was.
to a
Yes.
seller's market as well.
Shifting from a buyer's to a seller's market. Is that what you said, Charlie?
Yeah, or vice versa, what we're going through, where it's changing.
Yeah.
When supply and demand varies, either positively or negatively.
Yeah, absolutely. Jennifer?
Change in best practices for your market.
Say that one more time. I'm sorry, I don't know who that was, but say one more time.
It's Will Driscoll. It's a change in best practices for your business.
We're going to hit on that for sure, Will. Yes, absolutely. Jennifer?
I don't know if anyone said days on market. When that changes, it seems to be, houses seem to be on the market longer than they have been in the last 2 years.
Absolutely. Now let me ask a question off of
mortgage changes.
Ooh, yes.
Ooh, that's a good one.
Mortgage changes, absolutely. So let me ask this question. How many of you are feeling any of that was said in your market right now? Put it in the chat or unmute yourself. I see Carmen raising her hand saying, yes, mine.
Yes.
Lots of yeses.
Lots of yeses?
Yes.
Anybody you know? I'm just curious. Anybody not seeing it change at all in their market? Because you know what? Here's the thing. Not every market changes or shifts the same. It's very different out there. Charlie says pockets of areas. Amanda? What?
Hi there.
Amanda?
Can you hear me or no?
Yes.
Okay, because I'm on my dad's headphones. In our market, it's city by city, technically. I mean, it's some towns I saw days on market increase from 4 to 19 in a matter of 3 weeks, and others are plugging along just as they have been.
Wow.
You know what, Amanda, thank you for sharing that. And what I love is that you know that. And we're going to talk a little bit about that in a little bit too. Tiffany, what else did you want to add?
It's funny that we're saying 4 days on market to 19 days on market is a shift.
I know. Well, here's the thing, and I was going to go over this a little later, but I'm just going to mention it now. At our all partners meetings that we have at our market center, my market center here in Rhode Island, I usually go over the numbers. And in February, bless you, whoever sneezed, in February, I reported for active single family homes in Rhode Island on the MLS, we had 563. This was February, 5 months ago. Today, just about an hour ago when I checked, it is 1,237. We have more than doubled our single family active listings in 5 months. My question is, do you feel that that is a sign? Right?
Is it a
And
sign?
thank you, Laura. Thank you, Laura, for answering that. Yes, it absolutely is. It's one of the signs of what's happening in our market. All right, Brooke, where are we going?
All right, let's dig right into the material. So everybody has the book, and if you don't, it's okay, because this is not a read by the book, circle time in kindergarten storybook thing. So I just want to make sure everybody does know where to get it or speak to your leadership if you don't have a copy of it after today. So let's dig right into the first tactic, right, which is all about mindset in action. There's a lot that leads up to it in this introduction. And Jen, is there anything that you wanted to talk about before the first tactic, though? What's my camera doing?
Yeah, yes,
There we
yes,
go.
there is. I'm going to hijack it again and go through this with you guys, because a lot of this talk about shifting in your market with the inventory creeping up, we talk a lot about the affordability index. Does anybody know what that is? Unmute yourself and tell us what it is. Interactive class today.
Can I blame my kids that I couldn't hear the question?
The affordability index. Affordability index. What is that?
That's the median income it's the determination. It determines like how affordable houses are, obviously affordability, but it's based on median income and median home price in the location that you're looking.
Absolutely, Vivian. Thank you so much. And yes, it's the affordability index of what a buyer can afford in the area that you're in. So Amanda, you mentioned all different areas that you're tracking. This is how you could figure out what kind of affordability index is in your area. So I'm going to do an activity with you guys. Is everybody ready for an activity? Do you have a pen and a paper or an iPad or a digital anything to write on? Grab those. I'm going to give you a couple of seconds to grab that. You're going to need it for this one. I'm going to say it a couple of times. We're going to go slow. And you might have to Google a little bit here. So get ready. We're doing an active activity that we're doing it together. And anybody in Rhode Island, I have a cheat sheet for you. So I still want you to pull it up though. All right. To figure out what your affordability index is in your area, you need to know what the median income is in your area. So take a few seconds right now to Google that. And I used Rhode Island as a whole. You might not use your entire state, or you may.
State may be a lot bigger.
Well, every other state is bigger. So there we are.
Is Rhode Island even a state? Let's just go
It
there.
is.
Come on. No, we're not going there today.
I love everything about Rhode Island except that bridge, that one bridge.
Yeah, I know.
But I love it.
Keep it up, Brooke, and we'll make you stand on that bridge.
Rhode Island isn't just a state, it's a state of mind.
It is.
Oh, who is that, Tracy? I love her. I can tell by that voice. All right, so the affordability, the first part is, what is the median income in your area? My Rhode Island friends, I will tell you, it's $70,305.
Do you go by household or individual?
This is household, I believe, actually.
For my Maine friends in the Cumberland County area, it's 71,000.
Cheat sheets, come on now.
It says your county is 61,000.
Yep.
All right, put it in.
Yeah, throw it in the chat.
That's the first one. That's the first one. Make sure you write that down. Median income. The next one I want you to Google find, if you don't know, is your median home price in your area. What's the median home price in your area? Thank you, Tiffany. I will tell you, in Rhode Island, it just changed today. So you guys in Rhode Island, I know you're going to tell me it's wrong, but a couple days ago, it was 420,000 was the median home price in Rhode Island. What is yours in your area that you want to find your affordability index for?
When I first started selling in Taunton, it was 180,000. I just looked it up. It's 449,000, 453,000.
That's a little bit of a gain. That's a little bit of an increase, I would say, Daniel. Just a
And I
little.
remember in 2000, if we had a $500,000 listing, we thought we were the cat's pajamas.
Yep.
Did I tell you what it was in 1984?
Yes, please, Charlie.
My average sale price, I think it was 37,000. So
37,000.
long way,
What
baby.
was the interest rate though, Charlie? Charlie, what
Oh,
was
it was
the
only,
interest rate on
it was
that?
only 18%.
Okay.
All right.
Amanda, what do you have for us?
So should we be doing the median home price year to date or month to date?
I would do it year to date for the right now. Yeah, year to date. So median income is your first number. The second one is median home price. If you have that, give me a thumbs up so we can move on to the next one.
Seeing thumbs up.
All right, we got thumbs up. So now I'm going to be going over a 20% down loan. Now, that's what I'm using in this example. If your area is more of a 5%, 100%, whatever loan programs are typical in your area, you could go by that, but I'm going to go by a 20% down payment for a loan. So we're going to be taking 80% of that median home price and writing that down. So whatever your median home price is, for example, mine was 420,000. 80% of that is 336,000. Makes sense, guys? Let us know if you have questions. We want to make sure everybody's following along here.
Thumbs
That's
up.
the mortgage amount. That's what the buyer would be paying monthly on. That's what we're looking at right now. Any questions before we go to the next one?
Cool.
All right, so now from there, we're going to figure out what the required income will be to pay that mortgage. We're using out of the shift book, 25% of their mortgage amount will be applied just towards their mortgage. So what I'd like for you to do is take 25% of whatever the mortgage amount was, whatever that 80% mortgage amount was. So in my example, it is $84,000 required income for a mortgage amount of $336,000. Anybody need any help, questions? We want to make sure we're all following along here.
Got good. I'm seeing little pencils running away on the papers.
Yeah,
Okay.
I have a question. After the median home price for the area, what was I supposed to figure out? I'm one behind.
No, it's okay. It's the mortgage amount. So my example is a 20% down mortgage. So I'm using 80% of the median home. So what I'm going to do is take whatever your median home price is and multiply that by 80%.
Okay.
And that's your mortgage amount. And then your mortgage amount, we want to find out what your required income is to pay that. And I'm using a percentage of 25% of your income goes towards your mortgage. Then once you have that, we're going to take that median income that you have at the top of your page, and we're going to divide that by 30. Nope, we're going to divide that by your required income. I'm going to repeat that one more time. You're going to take your median income that you wrote at the top of the page, divide it by your required income. Tiffany is typing all the steps in the chat, guys, so make sure you take a look at that if you need to see the steps again.
And I'm also going to post a snippet from the Shift workbook in our Facebook group after that has these steps written out. So just follow along for now. This is a baseline. This is just generic. We are not taking any other factors into play.
Okay, so I would love to see what are your numbers from this activity?
So Laura Holder's 76% is pretty close for York County because Portland was
Could be a difference.
77.
So now what does this all mean? What does this all
Thank
mean
you.
to us? Does anybody know what this means?
That means it requires this percentage we just got to pay for the mortgage. In my case, it's 82%.
Right, so here's the thing, 100% is the good line, right? 100% means buyers can afford to buy in your area. What happens if it drops below 100? What do you think happens to the affordability of homes in your area?
Someone
needs to get a part-time job.
Buyers,
move to a
buyers are
different
going
area.
to start having to really decide if they're going to buy right now or make adjustments. So that's when the market starts shifting along with inventory, interest rates. The affordability factor is a third trifecta of that. So knowing what your affordability index is in your area is an important piece of knowing how to handle a shift in your area.
There's a couple of these, 113%, 124%, 122%.
So Jamie, what does 65% mean? It means ouch. It means we need to have the conversations with our buyers. Actually, you know what? Let's reverse that. Let's talk to the sellers first. What if that number drops more, Jamie? What happens to the buyer pool?
Amazing.
What ahas are you guys getting from this really quick activity? Set expectations.
Could be an opportunity.
I love that.
Could be
Who
an
said that?
opportunity well, it could be an opportunity for making a low offer, right? Like, so if you're seeing this shift and you're seeing this like affordability, maybe there's agents overpricing and they haven't taken the shift yet. So now I can convince my buyer, well, I know this house is at 200, but going at 180. Let's see what happens.
Absolutely. Who else? What other ahas did you get from this really quick activity we did?
The buyer totally drives the market, whether the seller thinks they do or not. It's what the buyer can afford that drives the market.
That's right. Now, is that different than what we saw 5 months ago, even 2 months ago?
A little bit.
A little bit. Thanks, Jeff.
I
Any
have
other
something
ahas?
to say.
Go ahead,
Can you hear
Elizabeth.
me? All right. Well, one thing I always say that the buyer is always in charge. I don't really believe in a seller's market because the buyers do it to themselves and they start throwing a lot of money at something. But in my market, because the affordability index is so low, it's only 56%. That doesn't mean the houses aren't going to sell. They snatch them up. People come from elsewhere to live here.
You know, you're absolutely right. Here's the thing. It's just the buyer pool. What?
No, it's not just about the people that live here. People come from elsewhere. And so these people that can't afford it, they have to go to a market that they can afford. They leave from around here and they have to go, right now they're going south.
Yep.
People are not
Does-
happy about it, but if they want to get in the game, they have to get in where they can get in.
You're absolutely right. And you know what, Elizabeth, that's one of the reasons why it's so important to know where you are in that affordability index. So that way you could educate your buyers and then find maybe an area that is affordable to them or better for where their needs or criteria would be, right?
Right.
I have a question. Isn't this a little bit of a simple formula? It doesn't take interest rates into consideration. I mean, that's the major reason why it's so much more unaffordable. You know, because you're taking 25% of the mortgage amount as the required income, but that could change.
You're absolutely right, Heidi. So this is just a really simple one. If we really got into a lot of the mortgage interest rate changes, it would be a lot harder for us to kind of get this activity just as an understanding. Yet you are right, paying attention to those interest rates is is another important factor for this, because if those go up to 10%, that changes the affordability index even more. So you're absolutely right. This is just a general idea exercise, so that way you could do this quickly in your area and know how to have the conversations with your sellers and your buyers.
Jennifer, I have something to say.
Yes. Hi, Seth.
Hi, Jennifer.
Hi.
Something that that I observe here is that median home price is so much higher. Like it's gone up so much in the past few years versus the median income. The median incomes have risen, but not as much as the home prices. And that's very good to see right here in black and white.
Such a great point. Like such a great point. 20.3% gain in 12 months for the pricing. That's the home price. 20.3%. This is Rhode Island, by the way, Seth, but that's the price of a house. Do you think their income increased by 20%? Nope. In 12 months? Has yours though? Has a realtor's income changed or adjusted in the last 2 years?
Yes.
Who laughed and said yes? It has. So now is the time for us to, that's why we're doing this, by the way, guys. That's why you're here on this call. And I have to say thank you to each and every one of you for coming on here, because you are investing into your business to survive through this. Because what we know, and we're going to talk about the law of equilibrium, but what we talk about is when the market gets harder, what happens to our agent count? What happens to the market?
It
goes down.
Harder, it goes down. The agent count goes down.
The agent count goes down. So how do we stop that from that being you? Is this class right here. Yep. This class right here.
You know what I love about this market?
What do you love?
Where people actually get to become the best that they can be, right? Because when the market's hot and business is just coming to you, what do? We just take the business, right? When the market starts to shift, what do? We go back to the basics. And like, what do we have? You know, I got that one. Right? So what does it take? And you're all here. 216 of you are here. And what are you going to do to your competition because you're here?
Gonna win.
You're gonna stay. You're gonna succeed.
Mm-hmm.
Look at that. Outsell them.
Gary Keller says this, and it's in the book. And I know I don't have time to like really find it. Maybe I will. No, maybe I won't. Gary Keller says that there is an opportunity in every market that we're in, especially a market that shifts. Especially the one that shifts. It's just you have to work harder. We have to work smarter is what it is. It's smarter. And by doing that, it's setting up systems and tools. And we're going to be diving into all of that. So Brooke, what do you want to dive into next? Is it tactic 1 here?
Yeah, let's go through tactic 1. Sorry, I had put my drink down on my my keyboard, so it went a little crazy. I just want to highlight the myth on this page. If there's nothing else you take off this, the myth is that the market determines your success. Who determines your success?
We do.
Look, I see all these people on my screen pointing to one, like I love it. They're all pointing. You absolutely do. While deals may not be out there or perceived deals, there are still people always selling and buying no matter what. Things change, life situations change. There's always people selling. And one of the things we get into in Shift, and the next few topics actually dig deeper into lead gen, lead conversion, and then internet lead and conversion. But now is that time where we get really purposeful in our lead gen. Now is where we have to tighten the reins on a whole bunch of things, not just our budgets and our financials, which we'll talk about soon, but also the lead gen that actually works. And how do we know it's working, right? If something's working, hit it. If it's not working, stop it. Stop it. Just because your neighbor does it or the person who sits next to you in the booth does it and it works for them, it may not work for you. So in an up market right now, what's going on is you're reacting. right? People are just pouring in through Facebook leads or referrals, or all these things are happening. But now when we shift, proactive lead gen is where we've got to get. And it all starts with a mindset shift. Wow, don't say that fast, because that is not what will come out of your mouth, friends. Right? So when we're in this mindset shift, we really do, that is trouble, isn't it? We really got to get ahead of the other players in the market with us. Look around you, right? There are people who are here to shift, and there are people here to take the business. My favorite thing on all these things is the second to last. And in a shift, we've got to do more with less. So that means less expenses, less services, and sometimes less people. Tiffany or Jen, do you have anything you want to add about mindset in a shift before we?
Well, I just want to go through these really quickly, because they're not to skim over. It's important to come up with what each of these mean to you. So one, adopt an opportunity mindset. What does that mean to you? What does that really mean to you? Does that mean that you have to shift your own thinking of where we are? Because guess what? The media and the news, what are they telling you, and what are they telling your customers right now?
And are they the experts? Are they truly the experts, or are they the parrots of the reports that are given to them for somebody who is not hyper local or the local market expert?
Here's the thing, your clients are listening to that, and they believe that first. So it's up to you to change your mindset around that and become the local real estate expert in your area. So that's the first one I would say. The next one, seek only motivated buyers and sellers. Seriously, seek only motivated buyers and sellers. If you have the, I just want to see what I could get for my house.
No, I'm not pre-approved. I'll do that when we find a house.
Well, and here's the other piece of it, right? Just because they're pre-approved and ready to go, are they still a buyer?
Are they the motivated buyer?
Right.
Right? Are they motivated? Price ahead of the market, don't chase the market.
Yeah, I mean, that one is huge though, right? Because right now, because we're kind of in the area of sellers still want to get the most they can for their property, but the market is kind of telling them, hey, we need to kind of stabilize. We really need to look at our pricing. If you're not sure of your pricing, you have so many people in your market center, in your leadership, that are there to give you another opinion and ideas on how to make sure you're pricing that property right.
Right.
Make the condition of listing stand out. What Tiffany, what do you think they could do for that?
So making the conditioning, like, remember those days when we would actually go in and we would stage the home and we would have a conversation around maybe we should repaint, like the days of put it on the market, and even though you need a new kitchen and bathroom, we may have to reevaluate that.
Yeah,
And someone said here, you have to have that sit down interview with them. Like, how many of us really didn't dive deep in those sit down interviews because you can list a house and go. So we have to go back to the basics.
Absolutely. Right, we're gonna have to get real comfortable. We're gonna have to get real comfortable in those buyer seller consultations, super comfortable, because people who aren't shifting and adapting are not going to do those, because they're going to expect the market of yesterday's results without the work of the shift.
Yeah, and Cheryl put in here in the comments that to make sure that their pre-approval is still valid, because rates have changed so much over the last couple of months. Absolutely, good point, Cheryl. So a couple of other ones just really quickly is qualify and convert leads quickly. What that means to me is we need to hone in on our conversation skills. Are your scripts or conversations the best they could be? Are they? Or could you improve on how you respond and how you have conversations with your clients?
Well, and I think this is where you ask great questions, right? When they turn around and make a statement that is not factual right now based on the market, tell me more. What makes you feel that way? Like, let them have the conversation.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Let's see, bulletproof your transactions all the way to closing. What does that mean to you, or Tiffany or Brooke? What does that mean?
It means, and we just went over this at the end of last month, right? This means knowing everything that could come up or happen in a transaction and knowing how to handle it like the professional and expert you are. Plan, know your vendors.
Can I make a comment on that?
Please
do. Warren, go for it.
So one of the things I do with my sellers, even though it's a seller's market, is I really strongly recommend they all get pre-inspections. And that removes a lot of the hurdles and problems. I mean, not all of them, but most of them. And I'm finding that my sellers are actually coming out ahead after they pay for the pre-inspection.
I think that's a great suggestion for many of us on this call for sure. Thank you very much. And Brooke, I just wanted to ask you really quickly, part of bulletproofing your transaction all the way, I feel like it needs to add to that with a system. Do you know of a system that they could use that would bulletproof to make sure that they have the same experience with seller A than they do with seller Z?
I don't know, like maybe opportunities in command, stretch here a little bit, command maybe. And as we're tightening up through a shift and we're trying to cut expenses, there's no better way than cutting out big CRMs or softwares that we're not using to the full extent anyway. And you have to use command to get paid through your opportunities and compliance. So why not just start one step before, get them in opportunities so you never miss a deadline or anything important during the transaction.
Yeah, bulletproof it, guys. If this is one of the ones that you're saying, oh, I need to work on, star this, highlight it, write it down somewhere in big letters, and then go come up with your action plan on how to set the system behind that. Where to find out where market is and get in it. We already talked about that. Do more with less, and then learn alternative financing options. That's a big one, by the way. Don't skip over that one either. If you're not sure of the current financing options out there, what could they do? What could we do here?
I'm seeing way more arms than before.
Absolutely, Amanda. I am too, which is something that we have to keep an eye on for sure. Does everybody know what an arm is? Anybody not know what an arm is? Yes, it is this. That is an arm. But it's also an adjustable rate mortgage.
Oh no, that's horrible.
Right, reach out to your preferred partner lenders and get educated on what's working now. Punch people, put that in the chat, and that is one of the smartest things you can do. You know they want to go to lunch with you, right? Pick their brains about what is working right now.
Yes, that's why. George, how's it going?
Good. Two things. The ARMs are not a bad program if you're talking to your client, your buyer, and they're thinking only living there for 3 or 4 years. That ARM program may be a great option for them. And then I've also noticed that some lenders are offering programs for first responders, for people who work in medical facilities.
Always.
Municipal,
Yep.
you know, so finding out those programs, I have one being used right now. My client is getting an incredible rate and they only have to put 10.1% down and pay no PMI. It's a local bank that's holding on to the loan. That just saved them $200 a month on their mortgage and gave them more buying power. So those loans are starting to show up again. It's just important to keep an eye open for them because they may not work for everyone, but the handful of buyers that it does, they're going to be grateful for that.
Such a good point, George. Thank you so much for adding that, because that is part of your qualifying your buyer, is knowing how long they're going to be in the home and what the best route is for them. So thank you for adding that. Elizabeth.
I just wanted to know, I don't know if you can see it, but I took Shift in 2016. And is this the same book or is it something different?
I'll have to check after the class. If you just look at the bottom left in the information we gave you, they do
2019 was up. It was updated in 2019.
Thank you, Jen.
Okay, bottom left.
You know, if I can just piggyback on that comment about lenders. We have a great lender and they say, before you push them into an ARM or suggest an ARM, because you know you don't want to do that, we're not mortgage people, have us do an analysis between an ARM or buying down the interest rate and see what, you know, look at all the factors and let us do an analysis of versus, you know, ARM versus buying down the interest rate. So having those great conversations can really help clients.
You're absolutely right. And here's the point of this whole conversation is knowing to have those conversations, is knowing to ask your lenders, what else is there? What other options can our buyers have? Because you never know when a buyer is going to be in a situation to be able to use one of those opportunities. So that is this whole conversation. So thank you for adding that, Gerald. All right, go ahead, Brooke. I know we're running a little bit behind, so I'm gonna let you speed it up.
Yeah, guys, throw those questions or ha-has in the chat as we go, because we're running just a little bit behind, like Jen said, and we want to get through this. So let's talk about the law of equilibrium. I believe this is on page 14. Don't quote me on that because I have an older copy of the book. But what does this say to you guys? Look, so here's the lag at the bottom, right? Where we're starting. Available income and number of agents, right? So where are we right here in this right now? Where do you guys think, Jen and Tiffany, where are we?
I think, oh, go ahead, Tiffany. What do you think?
I think right now, today, we're thriving. And yet, like as agents, we're thriving. Though one thing that I learned around this is when we're at this point where money's coming in, we're doing transactions, we should be banking that money. And at this point where we are in the market, where we're kind of coming down, this is where we amp up on the opportunities to lead generate and we reevaluate where our money's going, because this is when people that aren't as bringing in as much income, they stop doing everything and where we can take market share.
Right. So it's income, right? So income, available income, as that goes up, right? We're going to see more and more agents get into the business because they see that available income. But now as income declines in this market, what happens? When there's no money to be made by agents who are not adapting, what happens?
Agents leave.
They do.
They go to Macy's.
They do.
Now they go to Amazon.
Yep. Fewer agents means more available income to those who survive the shift, though.
So can I make a comment about that too? And I think that's something we've always tried to instill in agents is that that's why you have to really stay in touch with your sphere of influence, because the agents who are flash in the pans are going to be gone. And if you're the one who's staying in touch with your sphere, the lawyers, everybody out there, they're going to come to you when the market does change, and it's going to give you more business than you could handle, probably.
Yeah. Charlie, if I had a bell, I would go ding, 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 ding. Yes. Like if you didn't hear anything else that we said today, listen to what Charlie just said. If you are not a master of your database right now, that is your goal. That's what Gary Keller says. If you haven't mastered your database yet, you have nothing else to master until you do. Thank you, Charlie. That's so good. It was like we planted that.
I know. He's a good plant. We should keep him. We should keep him. So good. All right. So we've got to now make our money smarter, guys. Or in New England, we got to make it smarter, right? Our money's got to be a little smarter here as we go into this shift. And the shift is adaptation, right? Like, I love that I've heard the word adopt and adapt so many times when it comes to the shift. I don't know if you guys are picking that up in other things KW is putting out or other classes we've been in. Adopt and adapt. That's probably the best way to describe what we've got to do in this shift, because the markets are always in transition, right? What we do is cyclical in this business. We can't predict a shift, we can predict what happens during those times and those periods because of data.
And to add to Charlie's point, like at the end of the day, people buy and sell in all markets. Why? There's marriages, there's births, there's, kids go off to college and people downsize, people right size. There's all things that go on in people's lives. So at any given point, someone's thinking, and are they thinking of you when that comes across their path?
And it's time to get lean, right? If we only followed the path that we were supposed to when we were in productivity coaching or we first started in this business and we had no money to spend on lead gen or all these shiny bells and whistles, so we wouldn't be talking about these things in a shift. But now we've got to start looking at expense management, and today's sponsor, wait till you see at the end, they have the perfect tool for this. You have to measure your market. You've got to know your numbers. You've got to know your numbers. I'm sure you are. I was telling Jen, let's put it on a bumper sticker because we say it so often. You've got to know your numbers.
Oh,
You
wait,
also-
can I just pause for 1 minute? I know we're going fast here, but let's pause on that for 1 minute. Not only do you have to know your numbers of what's going on in your marketplace, like listings, pendings, closings, absorption rates, affordability index. I get like that's numbers. What we're talking about right now is your number. Like your
What is your
person-
cost of sale?
Well, actually, this is perfect. Let's pop up the poll we have. So I'm going to pop up a poll. We want to know how many of you have a P&L or a profit and loss statement, right? Let's put that up there. You'll see it pop up on your screen in a second, and it's 2 questions. Do you have one? Do you not? I have no clue what you're talking about, and that's okay. But take another minute. Because knowing your numbers is not just about the market. You own a business. And you've got to know every cent that's coming in, and more important, every cent that's going out. And this is one of the tools. An Excel sheet can count. At least it's somewhere.
You know, and I have to say, I'm really proud to be KW right now, because I almost guarantee if we took this outside of KW, 44% of us said we have a P&L.
And it's just climbing. And it's still climbing and climbing and
Awesome.
climbing. All right, I'm going to give you 2 more seconds, and I'm going to end that poll in 3, 2.
It's about 50-50.
Yeah.
It really is. When I hit the button at the end, it was a 51% said no, 45% said yes, and 3% did not know what it was before today. So hopefully after today, we can also have the a little more information on that for you. You guys need to also have an action plan and a bottom line. Okay, we've got to know what we have coming in, so we know, okay, are things working? Are things not working? Is this vendor working for me? Is it too expensive? And there's some tactics you can use too to really cut the fat out of your business. I don't love that term, but it's so true. Cut the fat. What is overage? What is a nice to have or a need to have?
You know, what's the return on investment?
Right? You really need to know the size of your business. You need to know what categories are costing you the most. Is it payroll? Is it lead gen? Is it software? Is it fixed assets? Are you playing red light, green light with your expenses? Jen, what's red light, green light?
It's exactly how it sounds, right? So red light, you stop your spending. Green light, you could start it again once you need to. Here's one way that I have gone through my expenses. And I did this when COVID hit, and Amanda and Elizabeth, I see you were coming to you in a minute. I did this when COVID hit, and I did it again. I'm doing it right now. I did it last week. I'm continuing to do it. And what I'm doing is I'm taking all of my expenses and I'm either marking it red for no clue. Like, why do I spend that on that? Red is no clue. I don't know why. I'm just spending it on it. A blue is nice to have. That's my blue. Highlight it like nice to have that. Don't really need it, but nice to have. And then my green is I have to have it. Like I have to pay for my car. I have to pay my mortgage. Those are the greens. So what I did was I went through all of that and immediately got rid of all of my red from my P&L from what I'm spending. And then I'm evaluating the blue. And to be honest with you, I'm getting rid of a lot of the blue as well. About 90% of the blue that I've nice to have.
I love George's statement. Are you spending money on something that Command can be doing for you for free? Thanks,
And
George.
I'm going to add
another plant. All right, Amanda.
I was just going to say, for anybody who doesn't have a profit and loss today, no shame. But there will be shame tomorrow because you need to start asking the question. So if you're not doing it now today, that is fine, but there's no reason why you should not be doing it tomorrow. Reach out to either your productivity coach, a senior ALC member, someone like that, because they will help you.
Thank you.
Yeah, you know what I have to say to that? Most of us don't do a P&L because we're afraid to see what that number is. It's not because you don't know how to do it or because it costs too much money to produce it. It's you don't want to really come to reality of what's on it. And you know what? I have to tell you this. Stop it. Stop it, because if you continue that, guess what else continues?
your business goes down. It does. And you know, Amanda did just put this in. A P&L forces you to slow down. The other thing it does for you, tells you where your business is coming from. Is what you're doing now trackable or reportable? So if you're throwing money at things and you don't know if it's working, that's a problem. If you're not tracking every dollar and or every client and how you got them, every conversation and how it started, then something is wrong and it's time for new systems and models. And what's super important about this as we get tight and we're doing those checkups from the neck ups is never, ever cut anything that has customer service around it. That will hurt your business, right? So anything that impacts what you do with your clients, right? Don't cut the photography on luxury homes. Don't cut the things you're supposed to be doing. And don't cut training and coaching. If anything, this is when you ramp up your coaching for your mindset values, right? This is when you need to tap into the education to flip how you're thinking and to remind us about the ways we're supposed to be doing things.
I would eat ramen noodles before I cut my coaching and training.
Yeah, I would cry. I would cry. Like the amount of things we learn daily, it's amazing. Ladies, anything else you want to add on what not to cut in your business as well? I think those two are pretty clear. So our favorite word, right, at KW, leverage. Leverage, leverage, leverage. People's systems, tools. We've got the systems. We've got the tools. Now we're going to Marie Kondo your business. What? No, Marie, what's her name? If it doesn't bring you joy, you ex-nay it. Help me out.
And it's people, systems, tools on here. It's systems, right? In my opinion, it's how will you do it? Then it's tools, what will do it for you? And then the last thing I do is I add the person to it.
Right. Who? Right? Who's going to do those things? If it does not bring you joy, friends, it does not belong here in your life. And there's usually someone who can do it better, more efficient, and it brings them joy. If they bring you neither, think about subcontracting those things out. People into your market center. A lot of your market centers have leverage programs. And if you leverage that out, the activities you're doing, does it then go up in your dollars per hour? Do you then bring more money into your business because you're leveraging out the things that other people can do? Right? Start thinking about your team as a big team. You may be a solo agent, but you have a market center of people around you. You have leverage around you. You have lenders, title people, inspectors. That's your team, right? Start thinking big and then start leveraging things out to certain people. Your allied resources are there for a reason. And if you've got people that you're working with that aren't giving back, it's time to set up new relationships and find new allied resources where it's a win-win for the relationship. You know, there are certain things that maybe your preferred mortgage lender will help with mailers or do open houses with you. Tiffany, what are some other examples of ways you guys have used your preferred vendors?
Well, I mean, partnering with them, as obviously stay RESPA compliant, and 50, if you have a neighborhood that you've been farming for the last 2 years and you've been doing it solo, what does it look like if you put your preferred lender, your financial planner, your preferred electrician, right? How do you share that expense? And what value does that give to the person that you're sharing the expense with? Because now they have an opportunity to get referral and business. And when they think of real estate, they're going to think of what you've done for them. So that's a win-win on two sides.
Big time. And oftentimes they'll pay for collateral or printing or something. So use them. And also personal.
If I could just jump in for a minute, I just want to make sure I let everybody know you do not want to jump off early on these calls, just so you know, because at the end of every single one of these calls, there is going to be something that we're giving away. Today, it just so happened to be for every single one of you on the call. Going forward, we're going to have winners. So today, don't get off early. I saw about 6 people jump off, so I want to make sure I saw that.
So don't forget about personal tasks. If somebody else is picking up the kids or doing the laundry or doing, is it worth that time for somebody else to do those tasks so you can be lead genning in your business? That was a hard thing for me to give up. And then we've got to find the people we need, right? Career visioning. Who's taking career visioning? Put it in the chat, because career visioning is going to help you really build that pool of talent, right? We want talent, not just doers. We want talent who do. People with good, strong work ethics, good attitudes, the people who are going to help you grow your business to that 7th level business, right? Start with that admin, work your way to buyers, work your way to seller's agent, and then identify leaders for your business and have them train their replacement, and so on and so on and so on.
And the only thing I want to add to following the career visioning process, the cost of not following the career visioning process is so much higher. Because if you hire somebody, you let them stay with you for 6 months, and then you have to start, I mean, how much do you lose by not following the career visioning process?
Well, what do they say? The average is somebody goes through 5 admins before they take CV. Like, why even start there? Like, just take career visioning and set yourself up for success. So maybe it's 1, or maybe
Learn from those that have gone before you.
right? And then you've got to train and coach your people, right? Oftentimes we're the ones, as the CEOs of our world, we do all the trainings, and then we think we're going to bring them back to the team, and we don't. Now is not the time to just be a boss manager. Now is the time to train and coach your people, because that's also going to give you valuable insight as to whether you've got the right players on the team. And not only that, it's time to get tight on your systems. We just talked about systems and tools. We've got the MREA, we've got the lead gen models, the budget, all the different models and systems are there, and we back it up with command. And that's what helps us get the job done. Now is not a time for complexity. We see a lot of complexity. Here are your 40,000 tasks to do before the buyer even signs the contract. How can we break it down, make it simple so that many things aren't having to happen at once for a small result to move a deal forward? Take the complexity and the cost out of those things.
And the big thing on this is when you take the time to train and coach, they're not giving you the job back, right? You're asking great questions. What do you need to learn so that, and inside you're saying, so you don't give me the job back? That's not what you're saying in your out loud voice, so.
Systems, tools, people. I do, we do, they do, it does it. It's my favorite way to line things up. All right. Anything else, ladies, you want to wrap up?
I see Elizabeth has her hand up.
Oh, I'm sorry. I see.
Thank you. I'm just going to go back to the profit and loss. I'm thinking maybe some people just don't recognize something. I mean, if you prepare a tax return based on this business, you have to do it at least once a year.
You would think.
So I'm wondering if they just don't recognize that that's what it is. Because I can't understand, how can you get away with never doing it?
Well, here's the thing I'd like to challenge back on that. Doing your taxes is not the same thing as having a profit and loss. Having a profit and loss is knowing your numbers either daily, weekly, or monthly. The least is monthly. So having a profit and loss is knowing where you are every single day, week, or month. And if you're not looking at that daily, weekly, or monthly, then that's the challenge for you today. And not only is it to really dive into your database and really master that, the second challenge for today is to get the P&L started. Just start it.
Well, it's nice to know that your view of profit and loss means it has to be weekly, monthly, whatever. I'm an accountant, so you can do it. I mean, it doesn't change it. Even if I work for a client and I only do it once a year for them, it's still a profit and loss statement. But if that's not what you mean, that's fine.
Yeah.
But you have to do it at least once a year to know where you're at.
You're right, but you're absolutely right, Elizabeth. What we're talking about by knowing your numbers is just a little different.
No, that knowing your numbers is a different topic to me than have you ever done a profit and loss, but that's fine for you. And when I'm in this room, I'm going to believe when you say profit and loss, you're talking about weekly, monthly, keeping on top of it.
Absolutely. Yeah, because if you're waiting, Elizabeth, if you're waiting till December 31st, when you have to turn in your documents, it's too late to pivot and change. And
I understand that, but what a profit and loss statement is what it is. It doesn't have to, it's okay. I'm just telling you just what it is. Doesn't mean it's how often it comes out, but that's
right. I just want to make sure we get to some good ahas and ending for today before we give away our big prize. So in the chat, and if you want to unmute yourself, shoot out some of your best ahas from today, and whatever you're writing down, other people would love to hear. So please add them to the chat, say them out loud, and take action
within the next 24 hours of at least one thing we went over today. One thing. That's how we're going to continue to be successful and thriving in this shift. What do we have? It's going too fast for me to read some stuff. What do
There's
you got?
so many.
Own your database. I
Own-
saw action plan, adapt and adopt.
Know your numbers.
And by the way, we're going to share all of this information with you on our Facebook group. You got to join that Facebook group. I'll put it in the chat again. You can watch us again on the YouTube channel and all of the information that Brooke has shared with you as well.
All right, guys. So to help you with your P&L, RE Profit has been generous to give everybody on the first call today access to RE Profit. And what that is, it's a way to pull in all your expenses, all your costs, everything you're taking in and that's going out, systematize it and show it to you in a way that is easy to understand and re-marginize your business. This is a huge, huge savings. All you guys have to do is set up a meeting with them and they onboard you. So normally the onboarding fee is large. For you guys, it's $49 and you get this for 3 months. In 3 months, you could change everything about how you spend in your business and how you get that income back in. Do not miss this offer. The other thing is we're going to put this link out on the Facebook group. So if you're on your phone and you can't QR code this, don't worry. It's going to go in an email to all participants. It's going to be on the Facebook group, but reach out to them. This was such a gracious gift to our Summer of Shift participants. I hope everybody tries it. And this is going to give you that P&L and up-to-date costs. Here are your next steps. If you have not gone to the Summer of Shift prize entries, yes, for next week, you quickly fill out a 20-second form from today and you get entered more times to win next week's big old prize. Read pages 49 through 81. And again, this is on that website as well. Book your RE Profit consult and then make sure you time block for an hour next week, same time, to be with us while we hit the next tactic with you guys.
All right, guys, how many of you got some value from today's call?
Woo!
Thank you, Jeff. I see a little nod there.
George did.
All right, come back next week. Please join us. We have a lot more to share with you throughout the Summer of Shift. Stay cool today, and we'll see you next week. Bye, guys.
Bye, guys. Have a great week.